G'day mates, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I want to do a conclusive guide on frame rates and refresh rates in Fortnite, console and PC. So what do I mean by that? If you're on 60, should you upgrade to 140 or 120 or 165? Should you get 240? Should you get 360? What are the best monitors to buy at each of these refresh rates? What is refresh rate and FPS? Basically, I want to answer all your guys' questions because I just got my hands on a brand new 360Hz monitor. I tried it out and I have now conclusively tried out every single refresh rate in Fortnite, and I want to give you my honest opinion on whether I think upgrading is worth it, and if you're going to upgrade, the best options to do so, because a lot of you guys out there, especially on new gen consoles, aren't getting anywhere near the maximum performance out of your console, or even some of you PC guys, and there's some monitors out there for really good prices. I'm talking like $150, and you can go from 60 FPS to 120 or 140, like insane jumps. So I want to cover all of that in today's video. First off, I want to say I am not sponsored by anyone in this video. All my recommendations are genuinely recommendations of monitors I've bought or friends have bought, or just really good monitors out there. I have not been paid to recommend anything or say anything in this video. I specifically bought the 360Hz monitor I did myself, so I wouldn't have to feel like I had to say it was good if it wasn't. I can be 100% honest in today's video and you can trust it, but it is still just my opinion. I've tested all of this. You guys might have a different experience. I've asked a lot of my viewers, I've asked a lot of pros out there. I'm going to be basing a lot of what I say on what different pros have done as well, so it's not just my opinion. But if you disagree with it or you found a different experience, that's fair as well, but this is just based on my opinion and my view from what I've tried with all these different monitors. Alright, let's get some basic definitions out of the way. A lot of you guys might know this, it won't take long. Before I talk about whether you should get 140, 240, 360, FPS is what your console or your PC actually gets. It's how many frames your device gets. Hertz or refresh rate is how many frames your monitor is actually able to display. You could have 10,000 FPS on NASA's supercomputer, but you have it hooked up to a 60Hz monitor, you're only gonna see 60 of that. In the same way, you could have a 360Hz monitor, but you hook it up to an old gen console getting 60 FPS, and you're only gonna see 60 frames. You need to make sure those numbers match up. That's why I'm gonna help you get to the sweet spot where you have a monitor that matches your device at the best price. The only other thing I'm gonna talk about is response time. Every monitor I recommend today is a 1 millisecond response time. It's how long it takes for something to happen to then display on your screen. You want a smaller number. The lower the number, the better, because then it means it's faster. A lot of you guys come to me and like, Aussie, I found this crazy like 360Hz monitor. It's like $100 and it's got like some janky ass 200 or 20 millisecond response time panel. You don't want that. This is why a lot of you guys are sitting there gaming on like your parents', living room TV. It's like a 50-inch flat screen. It's got a super slow response time. You want to be able to find a nice smaller monitor with a really fast response time and a good refresh rate. That is what gaming is all about. It's not about having these huge monitors with crazy ultra HD, because their panels were not made for speed. They were made to sit back and watch TV on. All right, let's talk about the first jump, going from 60 to like 144 or 120 or 165. Those three are very similar, very close together, and a lot of people kind of have them in the same category. This is, in my opinion, the most important jump in gaming. I'm going to talk to you guys about how you can easily get from 60 to 120, 140, or 165 without breaking the budget, and this will make you so much better. This is what will change you as a gamer, I guarantee. Like, this is the device that you plug in and all of a sudden your brain transcends and you hit every shot. I'm not kidding. Going from 60 to 120 or above is the biggest game changer in gaming. There's no more ghosting. You can actually track where people are. It isn't just a giant blur. When you're flicking around in Fortnite, it actually has enough frames to see where they are. And I found a monitor for you guys that I would highly recommend. Again, not sponsored at all. It's $179. $179, and it's a 165Hz monitor. This is really good for you guys on next gen consoles, and this is what's super important. If you're gonna go out and buy your own monitor, make sure that it's compatible with HDMI 2.1. A lot of you guys are going out there and buying 144Hz monitors or 120Hz monitors, but you're getting them with display ports, not HDMI 2.0. If you're on next gen console, you need the HDMI 2.0. This monitor has it. It's an Acer Nitro XV240Y, whatever. It's a long ass name. Link will be in the description down below. Just click on that one if you want. It's $179, down from $249. One of the main reasons it's so cheap, but honestly, most people recommend you don't run this in Fortnite anyway is it doesn't come with G-Sync compatibility. I'm not going to go into crazy detail, but most people you talk to who know what they're talking about recommend turning G-Sync off. If you're on a new gen console, you don't have G-Sync anyway, so you're not missing out. This monitor is at such a good price point. You can go from sitting there on your 60 FPS, 60 hertz refresh rate to getting 120, full 120, because this monitor is up to 165, and you're going to have a 1 millisecond response time. I guarantee if you've got just under 200 bucks, Christmas is 5 months away, maybe it's a birthday, maybe you've been saving, this is the upgrade for you. I promise you, you will not regret it. Now, let's talk about the jump to 240. Now, this is where a lot of the pros sit at. A lot of pros sit on 240 and they find it a sweet spot because if you've got next-gen hardware, if you've got good CPUs, you've got a good graphics card, good RAM, you can usually hold 240 FPS pretty consistently and you can hold it even in stacked endgames. So this is where most pro players sit. For this, there is 2 recommendations that I have. A lot of people like to go for the Alienware AW2518H. It's a 24.5-inch monitor. It is 240 hertz compatible with a 1 millisecond response time, but honestly, I've talked to a lot of people out there who much prefer the LG UltraGear 27-inch. Now, this is a full HD 240 hertz 1 millisecond response time, but it's only $296. That's $100 down off the discount price, and the Alienware is $584 with no discount. So it's pushing towards almost half the price, basically half the price of the Alienware. So I looked into it, I tried to find some reasons why. A lot of people are saying that the LG monitors, you have to play around with the color settings a lot more. The color vibrancy isn't quite as nice, but again, a lot of what I'm talking about today is just for the competitive edge. If you want to, on a budget, get a really good sized monitor, 27 inches with 240 hertz and 1 millisecond response time, the LG UltraGear looks where it's at. If you have a bit more money and you want to be a bit safer, a lot of people really love the Alienware, and straight out of the box without too much messing around, it is really solid. As far as my opinion, should you go from 140 to 240 hertz? I was a bit underwhelmed. Don't get me wrong, it makes a difference. It feels better. Obviously, more refresh rate and more frames is always going to feel better. I think this is the spot right now where if you have money or you really want to take Fortnite incredibly seriously, this is what you should aim to do. But make sure your PC pulls a solid 240 FPS almost the entire game, except for maybe into endgame. If you're getting maybe like, let's say 200-ish frames, do not upgrade to 244 hertz. It is not worth it. Spend the money on your PC, making sure it stays above 140 FPS even in super stacked endgames. Get a good 144 hertz monitor, stick to that. Then if you can stretch yourself, if you can buy a better CPU, is normally what's going to affect frame rates the most in Fortnite. If you can get a good CPU, try to bump that up to around that 240 mark where you're holding it consistently throughout an entire arena game, or at least in creative, and then maybe it'll dip a bit in endgame. Then maybe consider going up to 240. But until you can do that, it is really not worth it. Just get a really good PC that holds 144 consistently. Remember, Reet would be a great example of a pro that when Reet was on his big blow up, just popping off, dominating everyone, my man was doing it on 144 hertz and like 60 ping. Really, you can do it. You don't need 240 hertz to be a demon. 144 consistently, or 165, or even 120 to an extent is more than enough. Again, new gen consoles not going to hold 120 consistently into super stacked endgames. I watched console FNCS recently. It usually sits around the 80 to 90 mark, but if you can get yourself a PC that holds around 144 consistently, that is more than good enough to do well in Fortnite. Now, moving on to the Big Daddy 360. This is the highest you can currently run Fortnite. Apparently, they're talking about making a 480 hertz monitor next year, but let's stick to 360 right now. I just got my hands on the monitor I recommend. It's an Asus ROG Swift PG259QN. It's 24.5 inches. It's 360 hertz, 1 millisecond response time. A lot of people recommending the Alienware to me, but I really like Asus ROG's monitors. I had their 240 hertz monitor, and I've really liked it. So I jumped up to 360. As far as was this worth it? No. This is definitely the monitor that is the least worth it. Now, don't worry, calm down. I didn't waste all my money. It's okay. As you guys saw, the main reason I got this monitor is so I can do response time and reflex latency testing for future videos, which basically means I'm going to be able to test whether things actually increase input delay or decrease it. Is performance mode worth it? Is one skin better than another? I'm going to test all of that. So that's why I bought this monitor. So I'm not upset that I spent my money and it wasn't worth it. Like, yeah, it feels good and it feels smooth, but I swear if someone came in and changed it to 240, I would hardly notice. I'm I'm not kidding. I changed to 240 for half of the stream today, played some creative, played some arena, and it just really didn't feel that different at all. And most of the pros agree. I made a tweet asking how many pros have 360 hertz, and almost all the pros, with some exceptions, it looked like Reverse 2K was one of the main pros that I noticed that leaves his at 360. But I'm talking Booger, Fresh, the twins even actually returned their monitors as well. I heard Mr. Savage has 360, he's gone down to 240. Someone said Clicks has 360, he's down to 240. Just a lot of the pros that get 360 hertz monitors end up just changing it down to 240, or they leave their monitor at 360, but they set their frame rate cap in Fortnite to 240. And the main reason for that being is what I just discussed before when I talked about 240. It's a frame rate that a good PC can actually handle in stacked tournament endgames. You don't want to be getting 360 in arena and creative, getting used to it, and then you play a tournament, and as soon as you get to endgame, your 360 starts just tanking. It goes up, it goes down, you're getting stutters, you're getting frame lag. You want to have consistent frames, and 240 is a lot more achievable than 360. Maybe in the future when PCs get better and they can actually hold a 360 on Fortnite in endgame, it might be better. I'm going to keep 360 on because I mostly play arena and creative, and my PC does handle 360 consistently. But for a lot of you guys who are competitive fans, I don't think this upgrade is worth it at all. I would make sure that you have a beefy graphics card, really good RAM, really good CPU, get a PC that is going to hold 240 as high as it possibly can in stacked endgames before you even consider upgrading to 360. I would recommend it for almost nobody. The main reason I got it is so I can do that input delay testing, and if it wasn't for that, I definitely wouldn't have bought it, or I'd be looking to return it. So in summary, if you're not already on 140 hertz or around that, you should really try to upgrade to that. It doesn't cost that much. The monitors have been out for a really long time, so they're at a great price point. A lot of the new gen consoles and most PCs can get consistent frame rate around that level, so I would highly recommend getting to that if you haven't. If you're already on 240 and you're thinking about getting 360, definitely don't recommend. If you're on 140-ish and looking to get to 240, as long as your PC can handle it, then I would say jump for it. But if not, spend the money on actual parts for your PC to get a really consistent frame rate around 140, then look to upgrade. But that does it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, I got a whole bunch more content coming out with doing actual response time testing, whether you're going to actually get less input delay on performance mode, all that crazy stuff. It is coming, don't you worry. But for the next few days with FNCS kicking off, obviously that is going to be my focus. I will be doing a bunch of viewing parties as well. So twitch.tv/Aussie Antics, come check me out. We're going to be watching all the EU games, NA East, bit of NA West, maybe some OCE, but it's going to be a good time. So if you have any thoughts on anything I talked about today, please let me know in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It would mean the world to me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.